Welcome to Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. This podcast was created for the boomer woman leaving corporate, and now you're looking to reinvent yourself, become an author, an entrepreneur, a podcaster. Well, each episode will leave you with clarity. You will come away with the yes, I can and yes, I will reinvent myself mindset. So come on, let's do this. I'm your host, Margo, Lovett. This episode is sponsored by WOMEL. More than a leadership magazine, WOMEL is a resource that helps women grow their business, mentoring, attentive support, and services. To learn more about WOMEL services and the magazine, go to their website. Go to WOMELLE.com or give them a call at 702-747-3054. Leadership, influence, build your business, do and have it all with WOMEL. Contact them today. Hi, everybody. It's Margo, Lovett. Her business, her voice, her conversation. Back another episode. And I thought tonight we would take another look at something that I wrote in my first book, Her Business, Her Voice, Her Reinvention, how in 1 year I became I went from game show hopping to international show host, author, and speaker. All happened in 1 year. And it's not just my story, but since I had a chance to speak with some very incredible women the very first year, I included some of those stories also. But today I want to take a look at, I think it's page 22. Yeah. And it's up under always take time to reflect. And there's just a few words there to really tell you what this is all about. And I'll simply say, check in with God, Spirit, universe often. Now, I wrote this book in 2017, and I left out something. So here in 2019, I say always check in with God, Spirit, universe, and yourself. That's very important. Never leave yourself out. Take the time to get quiet and find out how you're feeling about how the book is being written, it's not being written, how the podcast is being constructed, the movement. What about the business? Oh my goodness, that's huge also. How are you feeling about everything? You know, you hinged everything upon purpose and why, at least I did. And I found out that when I decided to just kind of downplay reflection because of busyness, then I just lost track of my purpose. And I wasn't crystal clear about my why. It's like I pushed my why to the side, and the show was never about me. It's always been about the woman that's reinventing herself, coming out of corporate, and now she's reinventing to write her book, becoming a podcaster, become an entrepreneur. It's always been my charge to make sure that this platform brings on the best folks that can guide them and lead them. And I put my life lessons in there so that there's always how to and inspiration and information. But I lost track of her. I lost track, and I became the me that I was at the very beginning of this 3 years ago, because I was stressing about numbers, and I was stressing about how quickly or not quick enough this podcast has grown. And I just forgot to reflect. So you know what I did? I ended up just taking a day. I took a whole day. Actually, it was a day and a half. And I decided to not look at what other people were doing, shut that conversation down. I decided that I would look at my numbers, but I wouldn't hold them close to my heart. And I'm talking about numbers of downloads and streams because they have changed since we moved from Verk. That was a huge mothership. That was a network, you know. So yeah, you do see a change, but I can't. I know that the move was lined up with my purpose. It lined up for where I'm headed next year in 2020. I'll just say that. So I took this day and a half to really reflect, and I had to go back to my why. Why are you even podcasting? Why are you making sure that you move from a hobby to monetization? What's that all about? And how true are you sticking to what you wrote in your very first book? I had to revisit all of that. And I'm so glad that I did. Because when I look back and I read the early chapters of my book, I still believe in reflection. I truly do believe in checking in. I really do believe in celebrating the wins, large and small. And I had got it. It's easy to celebrate and identify the big wins, but I had gotten out of the habit of celebrating the small wins. When reflection showed me that it was the small wins that really led up to the big ones. How did you forget that, Margo? It was always the small things, the phone call unexpectedly from somebody that you never knew, the opportunity to have a conversation with somebody like Susan Taylor when 3 years ago I never saw that. Now I wanted to see it, but I wasn't quite there in my faith, and really wasn't quite positioned to be able to pull that off, in all honesty. And at the end of the day, when I reflected, I was just I was in right standing with right where I'm supposed to be with the growth of this show. The structure is so very sound until we're taking on sponsors, and we're sound enough to take more on. We are able to offer people information and guests a platform that has evolved and grown so very much. So when you're messing around with the everyday things of producing, you have to remember to take time to reflect. Take time to check in with God, source, universe. Get your directions. Find your north star, the east wind, the south wind that's going to propel you on. Make sure you're in position to even know where that's at, know where to stand, so that you can be the recipient of the next for you. Celebrating the big, it's so easy, but do not forget about celebrating the small wins. They add up. Oh my God. And they bring so much joy. They really, really do. Do this so that you won't lose sight of your purpose and your why. Okay? That's what I have for you this week from my book and from my journey, my experience. Do yourself a favor and go over. Yeah, I say do yourself a favor because I do know that when you are reflecting, when you are celebrating, when you are just getting ready to get up and tackle this thing of writing or podcasting or running your business one more day, it sure makes a difference when you have in your hand your own mug or goblet. I was thinking while I was reflecting, I thought, you know what? When we were working in corporate, we had our own mugs. You washed it, you took care of it. It was your mug. It was yours. Sometimes you might share it out, but it was yours, you know? It knew about it was yours. Why not? Why did it change? When did it change? When it was time to write the book? When did it change when it was time to launch the podcast? When did it change when it was time to actually get the business up and running? When did that change? And I thought, you know what? Didn't have to. And for you, it doesn't have to. I have mugs and I have goblets that are mine for celebration, times of reflection, me time. Just if I want to just watch the guys pour cement, I have my own that knows me and I know it. It is a mug and goblet that knows my hand, my grip. I understand what kind of taste I'm going to get when I use that mug or goblet. Yeah, it runs that serious. So if you believe that you need something of the kind that is going to remind you to step away from the computer, that's going to remind you, all right, now it's time for me time. If you want a piece of pretty girl drinkware from the collection or handsome gent from the pretty girl drinkware collection, go over to my website, margolovett.com. It's up under shop, and I promise it will be beautifully wrapped on the inside. And when you open up that box, you are just going to simply sigh. And you know why? Because I know that you are worth it. And when you decide to gift a piece of drinkware to someone else, they're worth it also. So go over to my website, margolovett.com. Also, one other thing I want to give that while you're at the website, the first 10 people that sign up for my newsletter and you own a Kindle, I am going to give you a copy of the Itty Bitty Book of Words. My word, reinvention, is there in that book. So R is towards the end of the book. So you, while you're on your way to R, you are going to have access to 15-word definitions. And each author had a chance to pick their word. We applied our 15-word definition. It was this job, I understand from the publisher, was 2 years in the making. But when I got my copy, and I'm sorry it's only in Kindle thus far, when I got my copy, it was a sheer delight. Sheer delight. So first 10 people, while you're over there getting your pretty girl drinkware, your drinkware from the Pretty Girl collection or the Handsome Gent, be sure to sign up for the newsletter, and I will get that Kindle version over to you by way of a gift card. I think I've given you enough information for tonight. Thanks for hanging with me. I'll be back next week. We're going to finish out, it's November. We're going to finish out another chapter, another part of my book, Her Business, Her Voice, Her Reinvention. Thanks for everything. Share this out. We are in the rebuilding phases of this show. So when you share each episode, it only makes us stronger, gives us more listeners and downloads and streams. So thanks a million. Thanks for keeping us in mind that way. Be back next week. Bye-bye now. I want to thank you for listening to Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. Couple of things that I want you to do right now. Go to my website, pick up a copy of Her Business, Her Voice, Her Reinvention, how I went from game show hopping to international show host, author, and speaker in 1 year. Number 2, please freely listen to each and every episode. Share them out with your family, friends, the men in your lives. And then number 3, get in contact with me, one of the experts that have been on the show, because I want to make sure that you reinvent yourself. I'll be back next week with a brand new episode here on Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation.